Hello, you guys. We are starting our last unit. This will be a quick one, just these last couple weeks here. I just want to get you guys used to this idea of surface area and volume. Okay, so this is Unit 10. So you should get this packet in Monday, May 18th in that folder on Schoology. You can upload this whole packet into Notability and follow along with me as we go through these videos. So we're going to be talking today, or in this whole unit, about what's called 3D figures, right? They're three-dimensional figures, so they're anything that's not flat, right, that you can touch or feel, and it's got length and width and height and depth. So they're things like these, right? So a ball is otherwise known as a sphere. A cone, like an ice cream cone. A hemisphere is just half of a sphere, right? Then you've got your typical cylinder, okay? We all know what a cube is. A pyramid is anything that comes to a point at the top, okay? Then we've got these things called prisms, and prisms have the same base as they do at the top. So notice these have a base here of a square. This had a base of a triangle, base of a square. This has a base of a pentagon. See, pentagon, remember that's 5 sides on the top and the bottom. So we're talking about all these shapes and how we can find their surface area and their volume, okay? So page 2, let's walk through together. We're going to talk about these three-dimensional figures. We sometimes call them solids because they're solid. Okay, so let's start off with a rectangular prism. So a drawing of a rectangular prism, you would have a rectangle on the base, and then you'd have another rectangle at the top, and then we just connect our sides like this as diagonals, just like that. So that's a rectangular prism because the base is a rectangle. So if you can see, this is the base down here, right? But the top is also a base. All right, so now we're going to talk about these 3 terms, faces, edges, and vertices. So faces are your flat surfaces. Faces are flat surfaces. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in red. So like the base would be a flat surface, the top is a flat surface, and then you've got these all around the sides, if you can imagine, right? So how many faces does this one have? Well, it's got 6 faces. The base, top and bottom, and then the flat sides around the outside. So you're just going to count all of those. Okay, let's see if I can get rid of some of that. Okay, so now we want to talk about this thing called edges. So what are edges, right? Edges are the lines that connect faces. So edges are lines. What do I mean by that? Like this line right here, that's an edge. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 edges. And you see that's where 2 faces connect. Okay, last term for today are vertices. And what vertices are just points. And they're usually corner points, right? More like you would think of them as corners. So I go back to my drawing. Here's a point. Here's a point. There are all these corners. 3, 4, where else do I see 1? 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 vertices. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with all these different shapes. All right, so the next one is a square square prism, which is the same. It's just that that base is now going to be a square. So it's a square base and a square top, and it comes down into a square side. This is otherwise known as a cube. Okay, so it looks like that. Again, if your drawings are not perfect, don't worry about it. You could even like find one online and copy and paste it and bring it in here to your notes. Okay, so there's the square prism. But it's still a prism and it still has 4 sides on it, so all these numbers are going to be the same, 6, 12, and 8. It's still going to have the same number of faces, same number of edges, and same number of vertices. Okay, but how about a triangular prism this time? So triangular prism means that the base is a triangle and the top is also a triangle, but everything else connects like that. Okay, that's a triangular prism. All right, so now let's try faces. So there's one on the top, one on the bottom, so that's 2. But then around the outside, there's the side 3, the other side 4, and then the front would be 5. So there are 5 faces. This one. Edges, remember edges are lines, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So let's go to our lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And vertices are points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where everything connects. Okay? All right, let's move on to pyramids. All right, so a pyramid is something that's going to come to a point at the top. And then the other name there, in this case rectangular, that's the base. And then from that point you go down to all the corners, and that is your pyramid. Okay, again, drawings don't have to be perfect, but you get the idea. All right, so we want faces. So again, counting faces here, we'll have the bottom, that's 1. And then around the outside, there's 1 triangle, 2, 3, and there's 1 in the back, 4. So 4 plus 1, so we would have 5 faces. Edges, let's count our lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And vertices, let's count the points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. That's our rectangular pyramid. Square pyramid is going to be very similar. It's just going to have a square at the bottom, point at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means these answers are going to be exactly the same because it's really the same shape. It's just a square instead of a rectangle on the bottom here. And that's our base. All right, a triangular pyramid is going to have a base of a triangle. Oops, hold on a sec. Let's try that one again. So a base of a triangle, and then the point up at the top, and it comes down to all 3. So now when we're trying to count faces, we have the 1 in the bottom, there's 1 in the front, and then the 2 other sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that sound right? Edges, let's copy them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And vertices, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you should be able to do this with any 3-dimensional shape to figure out what its number of faces, edges, and vertices are. In general, prisms have 2 bases and pyramids have 1 base. So if you could see, right, those bases, I'll use a different color here, are always the bottom in the middle, right? There's only 1 for those pyramids, but these guys have 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. So prisms have 2 bases on the top and the bottom. Pyramids only have 1. All right, next page. Solids with curved surfaces are not what we call polyhedra, and they have special names. So here you go. You know what a cylinder is. It's got a circle on the top and the bottom. It's like a can, right? A can of soup or a can of soda. There's our cylinder. Cone, circle on the bottom, but it comes to a point at the top. And a sphere is just a ball. And that's how we draw our sphere. Okay? So this next example, you're going to have to say, is it a polyhedron, yes or no? And then if it is, what's its name? All right, so I'll do a couple for you, and then you'll work on the next page by yourself. So if it's got all straight lines, then yes, it's a polyhedra. And the name would be to look at the base. What shape is that? Well, it has 5 sides, so it's a pentagonal. And it's got the same base at the top, so that's a prism. Okay, again, this is all straight sides, so yes, it's a polyhedron. What's this base? That has 6 sides, so that's a hexagonal. And it goes to a point at the top, so that's a pyramid. Okay, so point at the top, pyramid. If it has another base at the top, like the bottom, that's a prism. All right. Letter C is not a polyhedron because it's got curves, but we do know its name. All right. And then I'll kind of let you guys finish these because really I don't want to give you all the answers. But here would be the base and here would be the top. It's kind of laying on its side. So here's my base. All right, so what kind of shape would that be? And then you guys can finish this for E and F. Finish those names, check your answers online. And then example 2 on page 4, you're also going to finish that by naming the number of faces, edges, and vertices, just like we did on this chart. You're going to do it for these shapes down here. And then check your answers and then submit this, okay? So that's pages 2, 3, and 4 for today. Good luck. Oops.